My name is Edgardo Ballantyne. I'm a branch manager at Better Home Loan. I'm a top 1% mortgage originator, and my partner and I were able to double our production in 2025 because we started to implementing ChatGPT, and we did a class on the 7 ChatGPTs that we use day to day in our organization at a mortgage AI conference. Here's the presentation.
See, I survived 2008 in Southwest Florida. I survived 2008 at the epicenter of the housing crisis. When the president spoke about the housing crisis to the American people, he did it from my backyard, not once, but twice. I survived 2008 in a market where I saw my average loan amounts drop from $375,000 down to just $35,000 at a time, when the government was telling me that my value, that my worth was tied to my loan amount. In Southwest Florida, we went from 5,000 loan officers to 98, a 2% survival rate. People ask me all the time, was it scary? Oh, it was scary. But it was more than scary for me. For me, it made me question myself as a man and as a father. Let me explain. When I was 10 years old, my father lost his business. We went from having a lot of money to not being able to afford food in 6 months. I remember at 11 years old, I was buying bulk Now and Later 5-pack candies for 10.5 cents, selling them for a quarter. I remember in 6th grade, lunch was at 11:30 in the morning, and it was $1.25. And if I didn't hustle 5 candies on any given day, I didn't eat. You see, when I was a young boy, I remember telling myself, when I get older, when I'm a man, when I'm a father, I will not let my family know hunger. I will not let my family know need. It's funny how the universe has a way of laughing at our plans, isn't it? Because I found myself one night in 2009 emptying out my change jar to put food on the table for my wife and my 2 tiny children. It was a low point. I cried myself to sleep that night. I cried myself to sleep that night, asking myself, is this the day it happens? Is this the time that I do to my family what my father did to us? That I fail my children, I fail my wife, I fail myself? I don't know what happened while I slept that night. All I know is that I'm thankful it did. Because I woke up the next morning with a different mindset. I woke up the next morning, I looked myself in the mirror, and I said, screw this. I'm not letting these bozos in Washington cause me to fail my family. I'm not letting these market conditions cause me to fail myself. And everything that looked like an obstacle the day before, when I looked outside, now it was an opportunity. And from 2010 to 2015, despite those loan amounts, I grew my volume from $5 million a year to $25 million a year. And I learned a vital lesson about myself. I learned that I have the work ethic, the grit, and the determination to survive anything. What I didn't realize at the time was that there were actually 2 critical lessons I needed to learn. And not learning the second one will come back and bite me. But you go beyond 2015, the truth is business just kept going well. Deals just kept coming in. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, we hit the lottery. But then, again, just like this, the market turned on us. I found myself with my pipeline drying up. I found my P&L in the red. I found myself in a personal financial situation that I would have thought was impossible just a year or 2 sooner, carrying a balance on my HELOC and pulling out a margin loan on my investment account. You see, it's a very terrifying thing this time around for me. And here's why. I'm not 33 years old anymore.
Nobody thinks you're 33. Just to table it. See, in 2018, in 2008, I was in high school. So I can tell you stories about 2008, like, the old man can. But after COVID, we learned another lesson, which is that this is a game of profitability, right? It's not just about a big pipeline, but then having a bad P&L. And the truth is, right now, the mortgage industry is not easy. I mean, the cost of manufacturing is high. There's margin compression. We have more competition than we've ever had before. And to find good people to work for us, it's not only expensive, but it's hard. And then to make matters worse, now we have AI coming in and threatening us and trying to take our jobs. Because, look, the beautiful thing about us not being executive is we can call it how it is. And it's like AI is coming to replace us. That's it. They're coming to replace us, and they will replace a lot of us. The majority of us will be replaced by AI. And that's okay, because the majority of us deserve to be replaced by AI. So the first step is to understand that and to start thinking about the actions that we need to take in order to not be replaced by AI. Because I think that AI, while it's the biggest threat for us, it's also the biggest opportunity. Because it's the only way that we can not only thrive, but dominate in this market. Because there's going to be only winners and losers with this thing. And we need to choose to be in the winner side. Because the only way that we can combat how difficult it is to be profitable right now, it's with AI. And that's what our talk is about today. Our talk is about not conceptual things. It's about what we're doing today, how we're using AI in the streets with the loan officers, and the 7 GPTs that we've created, that we believe that everybody here, whether you're a loan officer, a team leader, an account executive, can use it, and you can see impact in your business immediately. But before we show you guys everything that we've been able to do with the 7 GPTs, let me show you where we were before. Because before we started implementing this, it was chaos. It was crazy. And it was the chaos that we used to call normal. Not only normal, but we almost wore it with a badge of honor. If it wasn't chaotic, it meant that I wasn't busy enough. That's literally what I thought. I remember my second month in the business. I went to my sales manager at a time. I knock on his door, and I'm like, dude, do you realize how much money you're leaving on the table? And he looked at me with a stupid smile on his face, the same one that you see up there. And he's like, just wait. It wasn't a learning thing. It was just wait, because it's going to happen to you. And I'm like, there's no chance that that's going to happen to me. One, because I haven't been doing mortgages for 30 years. I need to make money right now. And then number two, because I understand the basics of sales. And in mortgages, I know that we get complicated and all that, but it's basic, right? You make good notes on your CRM, because if you make good notes on the CRM, you can set up your ops team for success. And then that way you're not pulled back into the file, and you can just prospect. And the money's in the follow-up. Just like with every other sales, the money's in the follow-up. If I have a client that cannot convert right away, it's going to take 12 months or 10 months or whatever it is to convert. If I follow up properly, once they're ready, they're going to pick me. I don't have to start from scratch. So I thought it was good. But then we start getting busy. And look, we run a branch right now, and we get about 400 applications a month. It's a lot. And we started dropping some balls. And it's embarrassing to show, but we knew that we were dropping some balls, and we're like, okay, something needs to change. What's going on here? We asked the team, hey guys, are we putting proper notes in the CRM? And they're like, yeah, we're putting notes in the CRM. We're like, okay, well, what does that look like? And the notes look something like this. Hail Mary, ... call. Like, come on. Like, we're putting notes, but what am I going to do with that? Or check and see if better. Useless. And then we started looking, okay, what else is happening here? Let's see what opportunities we're missing. And we started getting these messages. And this was, it is still embarrassing. One of them says something like, I call Ed and he never heard back. I'm Edgardo, by the way. And then what we did was we started to quantify this. Because we wanted to see, okay, well, how much money is this costing us in potential lost revenue here? And when we did this number, it was disgusting. We wanted to throw up because it came up to $142,000 a month almost.
That was gross.
It's still gross. That day, we went through the 5 stages of grief. We were annoyed, we were mad, we were sad. But at that point, we were going through hell. So we're like, hey, what are we going to do? We need to fix this thing. And naturally, the only way to fix this leaky bucket
is to hire people. The problem with hiring is it's hard, it takes time, and it's expensive. When we did our numbers, we figured that we spend about $6,200 per hire, and those aren't the ones that stick. The ones that stick, we pay about 20% of their salary just hiring them.
Look, but that's not even the most expensive thing. And the most expensive cost of hiring is actually the hardest to quantify, in my opinion, which is the lost productivity. When I was training this man, he used to sit out and camp across from my desk like a homeless person. I mean, I couldn't get rid of him. I kept telling myself, I got to get to work earlier and earlier so I could actually get some work done before Edgardo shows up. But no matter what time I got there, he was sitting across the desk with his stupid smile on his face. A 5-minute phone call turned into a 30-minute training session. Look, it's very hard to quantify the expense, but it's very real. Another expense in this business that's extremely hard to quantify is the amount of time we spend doing product research. There's a lot of great non-QM lenders in the room. Angel Oak is here. They're one of my go-tos. And coming up with all the new programs that they do, it's very hard to learn all of them and keep them straight.
Yeah, but it's not just the new programs, because it's true. I used to camp out of his office, and there was a couple of times that he actually, got there early. He would lock the door, and when I tried to come in, he was like, just do your research. And I started doing my research, and this is what I learned when I did my research. Yes, there's a lot of new programs that you guys come up with, and they're fantastic, but even the agency guidelines are changing all the time. And the last time that he memorized the guidelines was in the 50s when there were fax machines.
Bro, there were no fax machines in the 50s.
You know my point. So, and look, as a loan officer and as a team lead, you have to make a decision, right? You make the decision of you accept the fact that you're going to say no to people that could get a loan, that you should say yes otherwise. And the repercussions of that is not just the loan itself, but then if they go to another loan officer and they get the deal, then that referral partner is at risk now. We spend a lot of money on product scenarios, or we spend a lot of time away from originating, researching guidelines, and maybe getting to a point where we couldn't qualify the client anyways. And then the other problem that we had was the meetings. Because we have meetings upon meetings upon meetings, and that's fine. The problem is there's not a lot of clarity after the meetings. Sometimes it's incredible, but sometimes we have a meeting, and after the meeting, the day after, we thought that we were extremely clear, but not everybody understood it the same way that we tried to explain it to our team. So all of this to say something needed to change. And when we looked at this and we said, okay, we need to fix this, this is what we did. We put the team together, and we asked the team, hey, let's pretend that we can hire every single one of us, including us, a world-class personal assistant that works 24/7. You don't have to pay benefits on that. It's great. It's a joke, guys. In addition to that, that's highly trained and that is ready to go at all times. They came back with some answers. We refined those answers because we wanted specific tasks that they're doing and that we're doing that we can have somebody else do. And that's what gave birth to what we call the 7 layers of leverage in our business. And it's the 7 custom GPTs that we created that we believe that everybody can use in their business immediately. Let's jump in. The first one is the Conversation Converter GPT. The Conversation Converter GPT fixed the biggest problem that we had, which was the leaky bucket of the $142,000 that we weren't making in this economy. The Conversation Converter GPT is simple. It takes the transcript of our meetings with the clients. It makes the notes in the same way, same exact way every single time, in a way, by the way, that's made so that the ops team, it's set up for success and they like it. In addition to that, it prompts us to ask questions that maybe we forgot in the meeting before we send it to the ops team. And then it also gives us tasks after the meeting. And the most important thing that this does is it creates the messages for the clients afterwards, not only with the context of the conversation, but also with their disc profile.
Look, a lot of people talk about the golden rule. Treat others how you'd want them to treat you. We don't believe in that in our branch. In our branch, we believe in the platinum rule, which is treat others how they want to be treated. I'll use my wife Danielle and I as an example.
This is getting recorded, so just thread carefully.
Listen, I have a very comfortable couch, all is well.
All right.
Look, I'm a very high D. I want information given to me very efficiently. Just bottom line it for me. My wife's a high C. She wants every possible detail of information. So I remember this one time, our daughter Layla had a doctor's appointment at like 3 o'clock. I come home from work. I'm like, hey, babe, how'd Layla's doctor's appointment go? She was like, oh, you don't even know. So we woke up at 7 a.m. Guys, I'm already pissed off. In my mind, I'm like, I got to listen to 8 hours of story before I get to the answer I want, which is she has strep throat. I picked up the prescription at Walgreens, and she'll be better in 5 days. And the reality is, if any one of you are working with Danielle and I and helping us with our home financing needs, you need to communicate to us in the right way. And this GPT enables us and everybody on our team to connect with clients following the Platinum Rule. But we had another problem in our business. We needed to upgrade the sales. We needed to get consistency in the sales. Look, I've done a lot of good sales training in my life. I've gone to Johns Hopkins University. I went to Toshiba University. I've done CMA. I've done the CMPS. And the one thing I've learned is how important it is for me to film myself.
Game film, not film yourself. It's different. Game film.
My bad.
The importance of game film. It's watching the game film, right? Every high-level athlete watches game film. That's how you get better at any sport, at the elite level. We need to do the same thing in the sports of sell. Now, I understand why we don't do it because it's freaking embarrassing. The first time that I recorded a conversation, I couldn't believe the stuff I was saying. It was embarrassing. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. But it was also a very quick fix. Because once I heard myself saying all the stupid stuff I was saying, I quickly stopped saying those things. But if we want to take it to the next level, it's not just about us listening to ourselves. It's about having a sales coach or having a sales manager listening to every single conversation. The problem with that is time consuming and it's expensive too to have a sales coach or a sales manager do that. And that's why we created the Coffees for Closer GPT. The Coffees for Closer GPT, it's a custom GPT that's a world-class sales coach that understands the influence objective of every single meeting that we have. And the truth is, we don't have that many meetings with the clients. It's like 5 conversations, and most of us just accept the fact that we're not going to get better at those 5 conversations. So it understands the influence objective of all those 5 conversations. It also understands the different frameworks that we like to use. It knows the scripts. It takes into consideration the disc profile, and it gives us very specific instructions of what we're doing great and what we need to do better. To the point where it says, hey, those words, you need to change it by this. It's super specific. And the cool thing with this is every single meeting that we have with the client, so there's a constant feedback loop all the time. It's a lot easier to get better with something like this. I'll tell you, the last time I did this, it told me that I was doing a fantastic job getting the final commitment from the client, but that what I could be doing better is throughout the conversation getting those micro commitments from that client.
Which is literally sales 101, and that's ridiculous because I know you know that because I freaking taught it to him. We all know in sales you get the head bobbing up and down as early as you can. So look, the other thing that this does, which is amazing, is it creates a scorecard ongoing for each member of the team. We're literally gamifying improvement with this. And everybody on the team is used to having that feedback loop. Now, we still had more problems to fix. So we built the Matrix GPT. What the Matrix GPT is we took all of the agency guidelines and the guideline for every single non-QM wholesale lender that we had and fed it into the GPT and taught it to be a product scenario desk. It takes seconds to research a product. Bro, the first time you use it saved the deal.
Yeah, first time I was going to use it, or first time that we used it, it was a client that I was about to call. I was about to make the phone call and decline the client. And he came in and he's like, hey, the Matrix GPT is ready. Let's try to use it. I'm like, perfect. I'm about to decline a client that I'm pretty sure doesn't qualify. So we put in the scenario. It came up with an investor that we didn't even know we had. Apparently, it was a new investor. We missed the training. Whatever. It came up with the type of loan. It also gave us the name and the contact information of the account rep. And it gave us a little blurb on how to structure the file. I was still a little skeptical, so I called the account rep. The account rep seemed as surprised as I was, to be completely honest. And he's like, yeah, I think that works. 3 weeks later, we were able to close that loan. A loan that was declined by 3 other lenders before me. And a loan that was from an important agent from our most important MSA in the area. I love this GPT Because, man, the possibilities of the GPT are awesome. Like, it's a lot easier to have a product scenario desk if we have something like this. And this is not directed to anybody, but Angel Oak is here, in front. So what if we could have this instead of the quick pricer, for example? That would be amazing. Because the quick pricer requires that I understand what product I'm going for. But if I can do something like this, if something like this can be connected to like the pricing engine, man, that would be so easy. We would love to help you do something like that. That would be awesome. The other thing that we love about this is that we can easily quantify how many loans we were able to close that we wouldn't have closed without this GPT. It's very easy to look back at the months and at the years and go, we wouldn't have closed these loans, we wouldn't have made this much in revenue if it wasn't for this GPT. But this is the thing. Being a great loan officer is not just about having great products. It's also about being able to give great advice. So we created the Family Office GPT. The Family Office GPT, it's a world-class financial concierge. It knows everything about mortgages, real estate, insurance, taxes, investments. And it takes the information that we give it and it elevates the advice that we can give the clients. I'll give you an example. We used it for a client of mine that was selling an investment property and buying an investment property, doing a 1031 exchange. Great. Saving money on taxes. I put in their situation in the Family Office GPT, and the Family Office GPT said, that's fantastic that you're doing that, but hold my beer. There's a lot more we can do here. It said, what if we do a cost segregation analysis on the property that they're buying? If you do a cost segregation analysis, in this particular case, you can take about $150,000 in bonus depreciation and then offset their W-2 income because the wife qualifies as a rep. In addition to that, it looks like they have another property that they bought a couple of years ago and they never did a cost segregation analysis on that property. Now that there's the big beautiful bill and 100% bonus depreciation, we can now do a cost segregation analysis on that property and roll in another $150,000 in bonus depreciation year one, and now we can offset $300,000 worth of their income. At that point, the client has to pay $0 in taxes. But this is all the GPT said. If what the goal of the client is to maximize their wealth and to retire early, instead of just paying $0 in taxes, if they don't need the money right now, why don't we take an IRA, do a backdoor Roth conversion, convert it into a Roth IRA, at least those $300,000, for $0 because they don't have to pay taxes on that due to the depreciation. And now, from now on, that money can grow tax-free.
Look, there's a lot of talk about whether or not AI is going to replace us, and if so, when, and everything else. But I know two things to be true. The loan officer that will dominate in this market, and the loan officers that will be the last one standing, are the loan officers that give the highest level of advice and create the greatest impact in the families of those they serve. That will never not be true.
Look, we talk a lot about profitability, and I mean, obviously that's what we're focused on and all of that. But the truth is, Scott is saying something about impact. And on the other side of every transaction is a family that we want to impact. And I'll tell you my story here. I'm originally from Colombia. In case you didn't notice, I had an accent. And I came to America to play baseball. I had a scholarship. I thought I was going to make it to the majors, but, that didn't work out. But also, I said, okay, if I don't make it to the majors, I want to become a doctor. And the reason I wanted to become a doctor is because my dad is a lawyer in Colombia, and what success looks like, at least at my house in Colombia, was you're either a doctor or a lawyer. And I wanted to one-up him, but I wanted to make him proud. Right? I wanted to become a doctor. And I came here. I graduated with my biochemistry degree, which wasn't an easy degree to get. And when I graduated, I felt like life punched me in the face. Because I graduated with a degree that I couldn't make any money on, really. I could just continue to study. I didn't have the money to go to medical school. Nobody told me that I couldn't play baseball through medical school. I felt like I let my dad down. I was married at the time, and I've been telling this girl that I was going to be all of these things. And, I was a server at the time. Nothing wrong with being a server, but that's not what I came to America for. And I had a newborn that I had no idea how I was going to take care of her. It was crushing. And I remember we were, I was waiting tables. My wife is a teacher, or she was a teacher back then. And at least we've always been, we're not big spenders.
You're cheap.
Yeah, that's good for a partner. And I remember calling the landlord. We had a little bit of money saved. And I remember calling the landlord, proud, saying, hey, I give you a deal. If you give me a discount, I can pay you a full year in advance. To this day, I remember the landlord laughing on the phone and telling me, funny you call. Not only we're not going to take that deal, but you have 45 days to vacate because we're selling the house. That's crushing. I had no idea what to do. My wife had this crazy idea of taking the savings that we had and buying a house, which I think was crazy. It was crazy and it was embarrassing because I didn't want to get declined. Right? It was embarrassing. I don't understand anything about money. I speak 3 languages. I have a degree. Don't know how a credit card works at that time. I felt very small. All I know is we went to a bank and 30 days later we closed on a house. I don't know what I signed. I don't know what happened to me, but we closed on a house. And that house, it wasn't about the house. It was about what that represented. That was the first time in my life that I felt like I had an adult win and a financial win. And it opened my eyes to the opportunities that this country gives you, which you don't need to be a doctor or a lawyer to be successful. This is right there for us. But they don't teach us this anywhere. And it is up to us, really up to us, if we want to do this the right way, to teach people. So this is why I became a loan officer, and we've made it our mission in our branch that everybody that calls us, even if they're not talking to us, even if they're talking to somebody that's one day in the business, can get the high level of advice that we give. And this can do that.
All right, let me interrupt him before he starts telling us his injury. I'm assuming you have an injury story like every other
That's why I didn't
athlete.
make it.
Yes, I know Derek Jeter. I'm aware. Look, the reality is this. We're very proud of ourselves at this point. We spoke to the team. We came up with a list of things that we could use AI to help improve efficiencies and profitability. And we sat the team down and said, nailed it. Here's what we got. We got the conversation converted GPT. Make sure that we are setting our ops team up for success, and we're giving the clients a great, consistent experience. The Coffee for Closers GPT makes sure that we are maximizing lead conversion at every time, and there's an endless loop of improvement and coaching going on, and that culture is in our team. The Matrix GPT makes sure that no loan is left behind, and hours of time is saved in the researching of how to structure a loan. And the Family Office GPT makes sure that everybody on the team, regardless of experience, can provide world-class advice to every person they help. We gave it to the team. We're like, hey, you spoke, we listened, here it is, get to work.
We won.
And then Tuesday happened.
Monday happened.
No, bro, if you remember, they did it good the first day. It was Tuesday. Everybody went back to their old ways. And we realized that we weren't done working yet. So we built the FSD GPT. The full self-driving GPT. Basically what we did is we took our entire SOP manual, our entire perfect loan process, and our entire CRM manual, and loaded it into this GPT. So now you could ask it any question. I just pulled a 560 credit score. I just got a lead and I have a contract call coming up. It'll tell you exactly what scripts to use in English and Spanish for obvious reasons. It'll tell you what emails and text messages to send to the client and the referral partner. It'll teach you exactly how to update the CRM to make sure that the CRM is being used for maximum impact. And look, the thing I like most about this one is the training piece of it. See, in our arrangement, in our partnership, it's on me to do the training. And the reality is I like training. Helping somebody reach their potential is fulfilling. The thing I hate about training is repeating the same questions the same answers 1,000 times. Onboarding somebody in our team now looks like this. We teach them the LOS because that's behind the firewall, obviously, and then we give them that GPT. And that GPT gives them the answers they need, and we know that as long as they're using that GPT and using the conversation converted GPT, in minutes, we could monitor their conversations and make sure that they're in alignment with us in the experience that we're giving to our clients.
A couple things about this. Yesterday, somebody killed him or something. So this is not that. And the other thing is, we like this FSD, is GPT, for two reasons. One, we were able to create a rule on the team that every time that anybody in the team has a question, instead of coming to us with that question, they just ask the GPT first. And if they're not satisfied with that answer, then they come to us, not just with the question, but with the answer that the GPT gave it. And then we together figure out a way to train the GPT so that the next time anybody in the team has the same question, they'll be satisfied with that answer. So that's the FSD GPT. The other thing that we love about this GPT is that because of this GPT, the team is using the other GPTs a lot more, because this GPT put it all together for them to be able to use the GPT. So this maximized utilization of the other four. So at this point, we're rolling, right? We're using this GPT. The team is working. They're getting rewarded if they're working. The loan officers are working at all the time. They don't have to wait for us for answer. And then we start getting a lot of loans. The problem is, when you're used to a certain pipeline and that pipeline doubles, like Scott likes to say, it's a nice problem to have.
But still a problem.
But it's still a problem. So then we turn to the Pipeline Manager GPT. The Pipeline Manager GPT is simple. It's just about clarity. It's optimized for clarity. It takes the pipeline meeting and it gives very specific notes of where we're at with every single loan. That way, even if you miss the pipeline meeting, you can see it. And then it creates tasks for everybody in the team. And it's very clear. And what we do before we start the pipeline meeting is we review the notes, and that keeps everybody accountable.
Look, the reality is this. We have more loans, but we're able to have fewer pipeline meetings, and we literally cut the length of the pipeline meetings in half. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about yet is how to use a GPT to help with referral partners. Look, man, this is a tough business. And one of the things that makes it so tough is how many wins you have to stack up to get a closing. Like, hey, go find a realtor. All right, I found a realtor. You got to find a realtor that actually sells real estate. By the way, we all know, easier said than done. All right, then you find the realtor that actually sells real estate. Like, no, you actually got to find one that sells real estate and does finance transactions. Because where we are and many other places in the country, it's a lot of cash transactions. And then you finally have to find one that meets all those boxes and you like. Now look, when I got into the business in the 1700s, as he likes to say, the only way to do it was to go to a Starbucks appointment with a real estate agent or a referral partner. And I can't tell you how many of these meetings I felt like poking my eyes out with a fork 2 minutes in because we had nothing in common. Nowadays, we could do it on social media, but it's time consuming. So, we built the Swipe Right GPT.
The name is still a work in progress because, we got feedback after we submitted the presentation, and it can be up. It sounds like it's something else, but
this must be an age gap. I don't even know what he's referencing, but if you could stop interrupting me, that's cool.
I'm just saying.
Look, like Ed mentioned earlier, we get about 400 applications a month in. We're able to distribute those to the team, and very often the team is able to distribute those pre-approved buyers to real estate agents throughout the states that we are licensed in. So what the Swipe Right GPT does is this. You enter in any city or county. It logs into Redder. It pulls a list of agents that meets our criteria. In the business 5 years, between 18 and 50 finance transactions a year, et cetera. It then takes each of those people, each of those agents, and does a complete and total social media scrub. It looks at every post, hashtag, video they've ever put on social media, and then delivers to us a list of agents that meet our business criteria and have things in common with us. Because we taught the GPT that I like playing golf, I like woodworking, I like shooting pool, I'm from New York, I'm a Giants fan, big win yesterday.
He likes to cuddle.
And it's an absolute game changer when you're using it for this because you have instant connection. Look, let's stay on connection for a second. There's so much talk about AI getting in the way of connection. And I'm sorry. I think that's wrong. Ed and I have very successfully used AI to increase connection. When we're meeting with our clients, we're not distracted taking notes because the GPT is doing it for us, so we could be 100% present. When we're communicating with our clients, we're doing so following the platinum rule. And when we're building relationships with referral partners, we're building relationships with people we actually want to be in a relationship with. It's a game changer.
So at this point, we're using all the GPTs, and we felt the impact in the business. We were able to double our pipeline. We increased profitability, and the loans were closing not only on time, but early. And the biggest thing, too, is the ops team was happy with us. Man, like the ops team felt understood. They felt heard. They felt like we were setting them up for success, which gave us a peace of mind that we didn't have before. Peace of mind that the clients are being followed up on properly. Peace of mind that we're not saying no to people that we should be saying yes to. Peace of mind that we're not wasting time doing research that we shouldn't be wasting time doing. And peace of mind that we're still giving a high level of advice. And what Scott's saying is true. Like, there's a lot of things about like AI coming in and making us a worse person per se. That's not true. When you have that peace of mind and where you're not constantly worried about what's happening at work, you increase your presence at home. That happened to me. I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband because when I'm home. Because I'm not constantly worried about all these things that I was worried and I was carrying around all the time. And the biggest takeaway here, use the GPTs, don't use the GPTs, use your own GPTs, it doesn't matter. The biggest takeaway here is we had a real impact in our business by using this. And we're not engineers. We don't have any background in IT. He's not even young. But it's about two things. Just two things. It's about having humility when it comes to AI and having creativity. Having the humility to understand that it is better than us. It understands a lot of things that we don't understand. It can do things way better than us. I don't care who you are. But if you have the humility and you approach it in that way, you're going to spend time training it because you have the humility to understand that that's real. In addition to that, you're going to understand that if something is not done the right way, it's not because it is stupid. It's because we need to learn how to communicate with it better. And then the creativity to think, okay, well, what else can I apply this to my business? Because it's not just these 7 GPTs. We like these GPTs because we think that everybody can use it. It's plug and play. It's ready to go. You can see the impact. But we've helped a lot of people. We've consulted with a lot of people that, they've been able to build things like a marketing compliance GPT. Where you don't have to worry about, or at least, you're not starting from scratch with all the pieces of content because you can see if the marketing is compliant or not. Or income calculations. Man, income calculations, scratch and dents for income are expensive. Talk about peace of mind. Or a full bank statement analyzer. We don't have to spend a lot of time looking for red flags or a lot of time doing income calculations for bank statements. We can just plug and play. So it's about humility and creativity.
Look, we would be remiss if we came up here and we talked to you about AI and we didn't talk about AI agents. Okay? An AI agent does two things and it does it brilliantly. Number one, it logs into a website and extracts information. Number two, it logs into a website and enters information. Ask yourself these two questions. How much time do you spend doing those two types of tasks? And or how much money do you spend paying people to do those types of tasks? Let me show you this use case. One of the things we provide to our clients is a link. We say, hey, every time you're interested in seeing a house, enter in your name and address into this link. Up on your screen is an AI agent taking that information, logging into MBS Highway, creating the client, saving it, going to the appreciation calculator, punching in the address, selecting it from the drop-down, picking which appreciation chart I want to use, creating the report, and then sending it to the client. This is done with zero human involvement. When we talk about the only thing stopping you is creativity, man, the only thing stopping you is creativity.
And it's not complicated. Like, look, there's a lot of things that are fantastic and all of that, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Yesterday, we were talking about all the LLMs and all these things that are complicated, but the way we do this is just by a 4-step process. It's simple. We meet every 3 months because things move fast, and every 3 months, we go through all the tasks that everybody does in the team, including us, and we think to ourselves, okay, what can AI do immediately? What can it take from our plate? And every 3 months, there's something that he can do that he couldn't do the last time we met. Then the second time is like, what can AI do, but just not exactly there. It's just almost there. It just needs a little push. And those things we think, okay, well, if AI can do it by itself, can we combine an AI and a VA to do it? Then we think, okay, what can we have the VA do? And then the rest of the stuff is what we focus on. It's less stuff every single day, and that's okay. That shouldn't scare us. As long as we optimize for spending all of our time doing things that have high ROI, but also high impact with our clients.
Look, I know everybody here is excited about AI. The fact that you're here tells me you are. Here's the reality. You guys aren't the first people in the mortgage space we've spoken to about AI. All right, I have friends of mine, inner circle friends, who have been in this business with me for decades. People I love, people I spend Christmas with. And we go out to lunch, and I tell them about AI, and they get all excited, and I give them my tools, and I'm like, bro, hit me up if I could help. And a month later, I'm like, bro, how's the AI thing going? And they're like, oh, I've been busy. The Johnson file almost died. My best realtor partner got divorced. She needed a shoulder to cry on. Guys, it makes me sad. It makes me sad because I love these people. And failure to implement this doesn't mean you'll make a little bit less money next year. Failure to implement this means you will be exited from the mortgage gene pool. And here's what I know about those of you in the audience today. Statistically speaking, 2% of you will take action. 2% of you will understand that the way to actually get something out of these conferences is to make quick and decisive actions and take the first step. But here's my fear. The AI race is too freaking fast, and the first step isn't enough.
Look, we spend a lot of time working on emergencies, when the only real emergency is if we don't make these kind of changes, we're just going to disappear. And the majority of us will disappear. That's the real emergency. So, look, it's about all of us as a community. Again, whether you're a loan officer, a team lead, an account exec, whatever you are, it's as a community. Just rally together and using this AI. Because if we rally together, we can show the consumer, we can show the clients that the loan officer of the future, what it looks like, is high impact. It's not just AI by itself, not because AI can't do it, but because the loan officer plus the AI can give a much higher impact. And it's upon us to teach all of our consumers that that's the case. As Scott was saying, if we start in the first step, it's just not enough. 2% is not enough. So this is our little contribution. We like to call this, I'm a big fan of Alex Hormozi. He talks about, sharing our lessons without our scars. So the lesson, or what we want to contribute today, is there's a QR code there. And that QR code, you're going to get this presentation, but you're also going to get a video and the slides for a presentation that we teach realtors. That's called What the Heck is ChatGPT? It basically helps realtors set up ChatGPT properly for them to be able to use it. Every time that we give this presentation, we have anywhere from 185 people to 220 people that register and goes to the presentation. You can swipe and adapt, share it with your team, make it your own, but position yourself as the AI leaders like in the ground, not just conceptually, but what we can do right away to help them make more money. The other thing is, we're going to have a free webinar with the Loan Atlas community, with Josh Meadow and Team Brahim, where we're going to go about implementation. Invite your loan officers. We're going to talk about implementation, and if you go there, we're going to share with you all the prompts for the 7 ChatGPT agents that we created, for the 7 custom GPTs, for you to be able to swipe and implement.
And look, the last thing on that QR code is an invitation to connect with us. I survived 2008 by forming relationships with peers across all different companies all over the country. And us helping one another get through this, or get through that, is why it happened the way it did for me. And I want to build a similar community with as many like-minded people as I can. So, if you think there's any value that could be had from us jumping on a Zoom call or a phone call, just indicate so there. I have no idea where the conversations will go, but I'm sure we could both learn something from each other. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for your time today. Thank you for having us up here. Hope we've helped.
Thank you, guys.